Hello chickies and welcome to the channel. As you can tell by the title, I will be reading through this month's TBR. Rather than do separate vlogs, I'm just going to combine all the books in my TBR, which I used a spin wheel to choose. Cue other video. And using that spin wheel, I chose 13 books for this month's TBR because I have to read at least 13 books to reach my goal for the year. And so, a big goal is set and a big goal we are going to reach. This is early on in the month, me being very hopeful. Technically, there are a couple more books on the TBR, just I didn't use the wheel to choose them. They're ones I'm reading with my parents or the audiobook for the month. But they will be in here if I end up reading them anyway. But first up, I am beginning Deltora Quest 3 Dragon's Nest by Emily Rhoda. Technically, there are 4 books in this. I am reading the first book in it, which is Dragon's Nest, and a little back story. So with the Deltora Quest series, I read through book 1, which is about Leaf, who is a blacksmith's son, going on a mission with a belt to find the gems of Deltora, stones of Deltora. Anyway, it is to complete the belt of Deltora, which is said, when worn by the true king, that it will protect from the Shadow Lord, which has been taking over the land of Deltora for many decades, through many kings, and is now pretty much running the place. And so Leaf joins Barda, and later on Jasmine, to find these stones and complete the belt of Deltora. Now, Volume 2, it is about going to free the people of Deltora that have been made slaves by the Shadow Lord in the Shadowlands. And so they go on a journey to try and free them. And that brings us to Deltora Quest 3, which is about them trying to figure out what is cursing Deltora, because even though the king is back, he's got his belt, the land is not landing. It is not growing crops, everyone's hungry, everyone's uncertain, the Shadow Lord is still being spooky towards our king. And so they go to search out how to free the land from the curse and defeat the Shadow Lord once and for all. So Leaf and Barda and Jasmine set off on the journey to find some dragons, and thus the Dragon's Nest. So I actually read about 50 pages last night, and there is 148 pages in this section of the book. I'm actually really enjoying it so far, much better than the Shadowlands, so book 2. But I'm really enjoying this so far. So, book 1, book 2, hopefully book 3 is another up thumbs. That is what we're going to do. So welcome to the video, and let's get some reading done over this next month. Hello Tikis, and welcome back. So I have just finished Del Toro Quest 3. Yay. I really enjoyed reading it. It was a rather quick read. I've been doing editing and stuff, so I haven't been quickly getting through it, but I have steadily been getting through it. It was really good. So we just did Del Toro Quest 3 Dragon's Nest, which is the first part. There's 4 parts and I've read the first part. I really enjoyed it. I liked seeing Leaf's character in this. He is a stressed boy and I can relate. We're all be stressed, but he has a lot on his shoulders. I felt very sad for him. I'll do a full review in the wrap up, but for now I gave it a 4.5 stars. It was really good. And also I love how Emily puts through these little code pictures, and it does usually tell you the answer, but I try and figure out beforehand, and that was just good fun. It's like a puzzle to figure out. 4.5 stars for Del Toro Quest 3 Dragon's Nest. Next I thought I would get into Narnia. So the first one we're doing is The Magician's Nephew, which is about Diggory and his neighbour, I think it is, who is Polly. It is the chronological first book in the series, and yeah, Diggory and Polly, we follow them as they enter the first time into Narnia. And that's about all I know. They probably come across some characters in there. The mysterious world. Yep, so it is in this chunky book. The writing is rather small. I think it is only 100 and something pages though. It's 106 pages long in the small font, but it should be a rather quick read, hopefully. But yeah, that's the next one we're going to be working on. We'll go from there. Hello creatures. Hello, welcome. I have finished The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis, part of the Narnia series in chronological order. I gave it a 4.5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the last half more than the first half. First half I really did not enjoy the witch. The witch gave me spooky, unsettling feelings. Which I think is the point. And, you know, good job if that was the point. Which I'm pretty sure it was. I hated her. You know, kind of creeped out way. The last half was my favorite, and the first half was like, oh, please don't. Uncle Andrew. I hate that man with a passion. Oh, that is the true definition of a hardened heart, isn't it? I mean, he's like, oh, I couldn't possibly, I'm an old man, I can't possibly use this magic. Let me said, not adult, like, fully grown men who could, you know, maybe have a fighting chance against any of this danger that I do not want to face. Let me send these children instead. Anyway, so I finished that, and then I have moved on to Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Lemonseller. So I did start this the other night, and by the other night I meant last night. And we have gotten 2 chapters into this one, but today, rather than read this one, I wasn't really feeling like this earlier. So I was like, let me strike off a different book while I'm not feeling the vibes. And because I was cleaning and that, I went with my audiobook, which was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. And I actually really enjoyed it. At the start, I was not sure. I was not sure about Elias because he was crude. Like, the writing was really crude for like one encounter there, and I was like, am I meant to end up liking this bloke? Because if he continues on this path, ooh, this is not the book for me. But luckily, fortunately, I pushed through that bit, and it became much less crude, and it was much better from that point forward. So I actually really enjoyed it in the end. It was a 4.5. I took off 0.5 for the crudeness. I was like, I'm sorry, can't give you 5 stars. I really did not like that part of it. I loved Dora, our main character. Adore her so much. She's just the right level of unreaction. I find in a lot of books with a female main character nowadays, they're like, oh, I'm really tough. Like in this, I'm really tough. I'm going to, mask my emotions. But then they snap and like end up making silly mistakes at the snap of a finger, and it annoys me. But she doesn't snap suddenly because, she's got half a soul. And she's just calm. But she has banter. She has, like, comebacks for this silly Elias's comments. And is funny. And her wit and banter are just so good. And she's so kind as well. But Elias, although he got off on the wrong foot, like a really bad foot, he did grow on me. And eventually I was like, okay, he is a good guy. Okay, you can get married, I suppose. You have my blessing. I wasn't sure there for a moment, but you have my blessing. But yeah, it was a cute read. I enjoyed it. Now, of course, I have to go onto a less exciting book. But sometimes these things have to happen, especially when you have 11 more books to read, because I have read 13 now. I wish. I have read 3 now, but one of them was technically not part of the spin wheel. But I was trying to decide between this one and The Ranger's Apprentice, but I went with this one first because I thought it would be quicker. But yeah, she's doing the whole, I've got to conceal my feelings, I've got to not let anything on, and then she lets everything slip in the first 2 chapters. I don't know. Anyway, chapter 3 onwards. So I'm 26 pages into a 311 page book. Oh, no. 308 page book. This read through, I'm not feeling it greatly, but we're going to push through and continue. At least I don't feel so bad now that I've got half a soul read. Technically I could drop 1 book, but considering I have a nonfiction and a Jane Eyre up there, we might have to, you really do have to read this easy one. But anyways, I am tempted to instead read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe though, I'll be honest. Maybe I'll take them both down there and decide while I'm at it. This is the problem with being a mood reader. The mood changes. Okay, it's the next day. Last time we left off, I was telling you about these 2. Daughter of the Pirate King. I got to chapter 8. Yeah, I'm not enjoying it. This read through, so I probably won't be getting Siren Queen. Alosa in this is frustrating me, and none of the other characters are really winning me over either, so I'm struggling my way through it. I'm tempted to DNF because of the writing, but since I'm 35% through, I may as well push through and finish it, just so I give it a good shot. Instead, I went to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I finished it. I read the whole thing in a couple of hours. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is really classic, so I kind of remembered the whole story, but it was nice to reread it and see what they had added to the movie, because they added a fair bit. Like, the final battle in this is really short. The movie definitely fleshed that out. But yeah, it was good. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Solid story. A classic. I didn't find anyone overly annoying. And, you know, the White Witch really loses something. In The Magician's Nephew, I was like, I could feel the anxiety in me. Whereas in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I was like, yeah, she's gonna get beat up. She's gonna get defeated. Oh, spoilers, she gets beaten. Oops. Spoilers. Then, last night, for The Ghost Horse, I read the prologue. I decided if I read one chapter each night, I will be through it in, 17 days. And if I happen to read more chapters, then well and good, I finish it a bit earlier. Otherwise, I'm going to have to sit down and binge it. And I don't know if it's a bingeable book. It's intriguing so far. Although, I saw some, reviews and they're like, it wasn't about reincarnation. And I'm like, you're so weird. I guess maybe it's sold as, the wife reincarnated as the horse, but I think it was just the people around them seeing similarities between personalities and character, which is weird. I don't like comparing people to horses, but, whatever. So I'm 8 pages through, up to chapter 1. I feel like it might get me to cry, but I might not, Who knows the emotions? I feel like crying without the book, so... Hello, creatures. I'm back with an update. I am 160 pages through Daughter of the Pirate King. And I'm not enjoying it, but by this point, I really should just DNF it. But I'm almost hate reading it. I'm so annoyed with it that I'm almost like, I want to get through it so I have a full review of how much I dislike it. But that means I still have 50% to go. So it's not good expenditure of time, energy, and emotions. So I'll let you know tomorrow whether I choose to dislike read or DNF. But as a general rule, you should not continue reading if you're not enjoying it. And you should, in fact, follow the sage advice of give up.
Give up.
He had different context to his give up, but the message is clear. And it's appropriate for the DNFing. It's late at night, so I'm gonna go read a chapter of my nonfiction book. And then get some sleep. I've been making notes in Storygraph and I'm hilarious, okay? But the book is not. The book has so many things wrong with it. In my opinion. My humble yet absolutely truthful and somewhat superior opinion. Off to read my nonfiction now. I'll let you know about this one. Whether I decide to make good decisions or bad decisions. It's the next evening and I have a couple of updates. I did make the executive decision to DNF Daughter of the Pirate King. I didn't want to be the person who was hate reading it, because I knew I was just going to pick holes in the rest of it rather than have any enjoyment. It would have just been me finding fuel for the flames. So I decided no, better use of my time would be to just call it, and as our buddy says, give up.
Keep low.
And yes, so I will be donating this or whatever. So I will be not getting Daughter of the Siren Queen, because I'll go into more details in the wrap up for this month, but it would have just been a hate read, and I was halfway through. So I did get halfway through, and then I couldn't do that. I could feel the negativity in the read. I was like, you want to enjoy reading, not hate read. I know some people do that, but I don't want to be that person. So instead, we have started The Ranger's Apprentice. So I'm 4 or 5 chapters through, and I'm really enjoying it. I do remember bits of it, but it's really enjoyable going back through and rediscovering it. So this is about Will. He becomes a ranger's apprentice. So yes, Will is small but quick. He has no last name, so they don't know who his parents were, other than a note at his birth which said that his father was a hero. Will wants to be a knight because he's like, well, if my father was a hero, he was probably a knight, and I want to follow in his footsteps. But Will is not a buff boy. He does not have them muscles. So he's small, agile, likes to climb and things. But it seems those skills has caught the eye of one of the rangers. So we shall see how that goes. But now, of course, it's the evening time, and I will be reading my chapter of my nonfiction, The Ghost Horse. The only negative reviews I've seen of this have been because it's not a book about reincarnation. I think I mentioned it. But, I mean, it has a lot of references to drug use and abuse, but, I mean, it is this bloke's life, so that happens in life. We are at chapter 15, and I'm really enjoying it. It's rather a quick, like, the pacing is rather quick, but it's good. I like that it's that quick. You're not sitting here like, oh, we're just going through training days for 12 hours. It's really good, and it's switching between focusing on, it's all third point of view. You do get the inside thoughts of a couple of the instructors too. But it's mainly focusing on Will, of course, the ranger's apprentice, and Horace, who is a warrior? Knight's apprentice? The word's escaping me right now. But yeah, so I'm going to enjoy this sunlight. I'm going to grab one of the chairs for a little footstool, and I'm going to go from there. Done. Another one. So good. So sad. Out in the Sun. I just finished, look, I finished my chapter from last night. It was a long flippin' chapter, and I was not up to it last night. We had a big day. People had come around. I just wasn't in the mood to read a long chapter about alcoholism and horses, so I caught up this morning. And I finished Ranger's Apprentice. They did hit me with the tearies right at the end. But excellent book. So I've moved on to my next book. And I decided I might mix it up. I might not just read this one all the way through like I did most of the others. Jane Eyre. Because I'll have to start it at some point. And it's better off to start it early. And that way I can do a similar thing with the nonfiction if I find it difficult to get through. And the font is tiny. My manga and manwha I still have to read because I'm like, that's my treat. They're my treat and they're really quick reads. So I'll wait until I'm like, I don't feel like reading big books anymore, and then I will feast my eyes. Before this giant cloud comes across the sun, which will happen any second now, I'm gonna try and read. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's coming. You can sit here with me while it comes across if you want. Oh, we start on page 9. I'm flying through this book. I'm already on page 9, guys. Wow. That was so easy. Yeah, right there. Hi. How you doing? I've been doing a lot of shots where you don't really see my face. It is what it is. Yeah, I'll slide down. There was no possibility of taking a walk that day. We had been wandering indeed in the leafless shrubbery an hour in the morning, but since dinner, Mrs. Reed, when there was no company, dined early, the cold winter wind had brought with it clouds so sombre and a rain so penetrating that further outdoor exercise was now out of the question. If it rains today, I'll say this is a foreshadowing for sure. Wow. It's in first person view, just so you know. First person view. I tend to like third person view for fantasies and such, but with classics and that, I don't mind the first person. Because you're in the person's head a lot more. And most of the time I don't like being in the head of fantasy characters. Especially when they're dumb. Oh well. Oh, it's so cold. I finished a chapter. Go inside. I think I'm on to a classic now, which... classics. I think it's actually good, but my brain wasn't there for it yesterday, so I read one chapter. I felt proud. Hello. Excuse us, we're in bed. It's rainy outside, and it's cold. So, we're in the warm bed, okay? It's just the way it is, okay? It's been a few days. I haven't been doing much reading. I was tired. To be honest, I'm still tired. We're back today doing a little bit of reading. I'm on the Ghost Horse, so I think I've caught up a few chapters today. We're 51% through the book. We just went through a really sad moment, which you know is coming throughout the book, but it was still sad to read about. So now we get into the second half. Very horse industry focused. not much about horses as in specific horses, more in general what goes into the behind the scenes of like racing and all that sort of stuff. If you weren't interested in anything horse racing or the behind the scenes or any of that, it probably isn't the most interesting, but it's got a nice balance of focusing on the people and then they'll just have a random chapter on other things. And they've got a random chapter on this other horse, which I'm unsure what that's all about, but I'm sure I'll find out why they're mentioning this other random horse, whether it is this other horse or not, but we'll find out. I read a little bit more of Jane Eyre as well, but it's a big book. And I really need to get into it because it's such a big book. And I feel like I need something joyful. But I'm not sure whether I want to dig into my manga, manwha yet or not. I've also got Kindle books I could read as well. I probably might start Magic Forged, but then I'll feel like I have 5 books on the go, and I hate that feeling of having 5 books on the go, but anyway, so I'm probably going to stop there for today. I think there's enough tears for one session. Maybe I'll get Magic Forged and Jane Eyre on the go today. I don't know whether I've done the rundown of what each one of those ones are about. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm hardly the most organised person. I like to think that in my brain I'm organised, but when it comes to filming the stuff that I need, unorganised. Update on the reading. I've actually finished The Ghost Horse by Joe Layden. I have completed it in its entirety, and I just sat down and read it yesterday. I had several other books on the go, but I was just like, I just don't feel like any of them. And so the nonfiction was the read to go to. I find some nonfiction books, I don't know how to rate them, so I gave it a 3.75. Look, it had points taken away because some of the parts, they go off on a tangent and you're like, why are we following this random jockey and what she did in life for the next several paragraphs? But it was fun. It was a bit weird at times, and definitely no reincarnation vibes at all. It sort of sails with its blurb about this whole reincarnation story, but at the time it was just the media hyped it up as that way. To make a good story. That was the media story they put out. But even the trainer, Tim, didn't really believe it. He used to speak to the horse like, in the same way he used to speak to his wife, but at no point was he like, yes, my wife is reincarnated into this horse. And neither were her parents. Her parents were like, that's a bit ridiculous. So it was just the media. And obviously the publishers have gone, well, the way we can sell this book is by using that media story. So I find that a bit weird and strange. Pretty much the story of Tim Snyder and his wife Lisa, and then him taking this not broken down horse. It was good, but it wouldn't be for everyone. So now I have 3 Kindle books, my manga, manhwa, Jane Eyre, and Assassin's Blade. Jane Eyre. Now, I don't know why, but I was using an audiobook for little bits of it in between just reading it, and I realised as I read along with the audiobook that there's bits missing in the book. As in, the audiobook will be going on this really, like, impactful paragraph or so, and I'll be there like, where is this in the book? So, I don't know what's going on there. But because I like the bits that they have in the audiobook that aren't in this book, I feel like I should just listen to the audiobook. I tried consulting Detective Google and he had nothing to say, other than all the different adaptations of Jane Eyre, and I'm like, that's not what I'm after. Anyway, I'm 20% through. The Assassin's Blade, which I think I'm only like 6% through. I'm up to chapter 5 of the first novella. I'm not fully feeling it. And then I have started Magic Forged by K.M. Shea on the Kindle. I'm like 25% through that, which is good. I'll probably continue reading that one today. It's really rainy and overcast. Try finishing it off either today or tomorrow. We'll see how fast I can go. And then after Magic Forged, I'll treat myself with a manga or manwha because I've been putting it there to reward myself. It's like a reward. So I feel like I need a reward before I tackle these other 2 big books. And then I've got the other 2 Chronicles of Eyre ones, but I need to do a separate vlog for them. I'm really happy to have finished this one. I was feeling like I wasn't getting anywhere because I hadn't finished a book. Maybe I should divide these up into, like 7 days, a week, and figure out how many pages I need to do each day in order to finish. While I was showering, I came up with a complete alternate plot for Magic Forged. So if it doesn't carry out the way I have just finished off the story I just in my head while I showered, it will be intriguing. I mean, my version of the book was excellent. Just gonna let you know. My version. So cool. But at the same time, I don't think that's the way they're gonna go with the story. So I haven't spoiled myself. Unless they do follow what I think should happen. In which case, I have spoiled myself. I'll let you know if my random shower daydreaming was the actual plot or whether it was not. Alright, quick update. I've discovered it's really difficult to read Kindle books on camera because I use my phone as my camera and I read on my phone. So it's difficult to get shots. Anyway, so I don't have any clips from yesterday. None at all. But believe me, I did some reading. And I did in fact finish Magic Forged. Another book down. Wow. I also read 1 chapter of The Assassin's Blade and 1 chapter of Jane Eyre. I finished Magic Forged. It's the first book. So you do kind of get a plot that finishes, but nothing's really wrapped up. It's this first book in a, 3, I think it is. It's called a trilogy. It introduces characters. It has one plot that finishes up, but there's a bigger one that doesn't. Our main girl is Hazel, and I liked Hazel. Some bits I was like, Hazel, what are you doing, lass? But she's got some wit to her and banter. She's ignoring obvious plot pointers, but I think she's just switched off her brain for that plot because it's traumatic. So she's like, oh, yeah, I don't need to pay any attention to those clues right now, when she really should, but she doesn't, so oops. But you know, you have to have 2 other books, so I understand. I will go into more detail as a wrap up. I know I'm saying that a lot, but Killian, the male main character, ooh, not sure he's my kind of guy. Somehow, not really my kind of guy. The girls are like villainous, not so villain that they are villainous, but You know, they got that soft spot that could be there. It just needs some drawing out. You'll like Killian, but for reasons Killian's not in my good books. He'll have a lot of crawling back to be a good character in my mind. He needs a lot of growth. Currently, he's just an unwatered seed at the moment. He's like, I'm willing to give him a chance, but he needs to sprout some character growth, because at the moment, I gave it a 4-star, so it's still pretty good. I liked the murder plot going on. That was interesting. I did like Josh. He's a vampire, but he's a bit like, he's like an emo vampire. He's like, oh, yeah, death is just another step away, but he's a vampire, so he's immortal, so I think here's a vampire that wants to die. He's a depressed vampire. So he could just be a bit morbid vampire. I don't want to, you know, diagnose him with anything, but anyway, as I said yesterday morning, I'm going to treat myself with my manga for this one. Yona of the Dawn, volume 24. But in this video, it's this, The Assassin's Blade, Jane Eyre, the lone book over there, Stepmother's Marchen. I did look it up. I'm pretty sure it's Marchen. Not Marchen, Marchen. Well, at least that's what Google told me. So yeah, I'm gonna go read my reward. Quick update. I think I am going to do a really casual thing called just read this version, and I'm pretty sure it's an abridged version. I think I'm okay with it. I was like, oh, maybe I should just listen to the audiobook and do the non-abridged one. By this point, I've got, what, 6 days left. Only to start editing videos, and I just want to get it all done with. To be honest, over it. I'm still enjoying them all, don't get me wrong, but a month is so short, people. A month is so minuscule. But I'll let you know if I end up winning at life and complete them all. But at this point, I'm just tired.
There's this point, this disease, that if you don't get there,
Hello, creatures! It is Sunday the 28th. Finally, I have finished Jane Eyre. I did end up reading the unabridged one, even though this book is the abridged. I kind of read along with the unabridged audiobook and finished it. And I do enjoy Jane Eyre. In fact, I quite enjoyed the unabridged version the original a lot, actually. It has way more information than their abridged version. Surprisingly enough. I love how everyone's just going back and forth being like, should I just read the abridged or should I listen to the full one? It's okay. We did the full book. I gave it a 4.5, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, it might be a 5-star. But here's the thing, it's not I love the book. I want to read this book 1,000 times over. 5 stars. If that makes sense. It's a good book. 5 stars. Rather than I love this book 5 stars. So that's why I'm thinking I should give it a 4.5 because I don't love. It's not going to be a book that I'm like, let's go back and read that another 100 times because I absolutely adore it. But I appreciate the book as a good book. I've seen like, oh, it's such a big book. And I'm like, that's just the classics for you. And at the same time, there's Kingdom of Ash and like tons of other big, huge, popular books that are way longer. And people don't complain about that. Or maybe they do. Maybe they do. Talking about Sarah J. Maas. The Assassin's Blade. I have finished the first 2 stories, novellas, and have started on The Assassin in the Desert. So we have this one. We have A Stepmother's Marchen and the 2 Chronicles of Eyre. Now, I'm going to admit something here. I don't think I'll be getting through the Chronicles of Eyre within these few days. At least not both of them. I might be able to get in and finish book 1, but probably not book 2. Because I'm doing an in-depth reading vlog for it. Then Stepmother's Marchen will just be a reward. Because, let's admit, it's a good book. I have definitely bitten off more than I can chew, but only by a little bit. As I say, I only have, 4 books left, technically, on the list. I have an appointment tomorrow, so I won't be able to read during that time, but, you know, we do still have 4 days left. This is the 4th. 4 days for 4 books. Might not be able to do it. I could be like, believe in yourself. And all that. I'm going to be warm and cozy in my blankets. I'm going to put on some music. And we're going to read. And read and read. And read. Let's hope we can get there by the end of the month. I might have to substitute the 2nd Chronicles of Eyre. In which case I could probably spin the wheel as like a backup one. I don't know why I'm using the spin wheel because if it does anything that's long, I'm still not going to be able to do it. My luck, eh? Good. That was what I was wanting. We're gonna substitute the 2nd Chronicles of Eyre book for A Year of the Dawn volume. Which, am I going to read that right now? Absolutely. Absolutely, I am. I need a treat after finishing Jane Eyre. So, absolutely, yes. Don't judge me. Excuse the heat, if you can hear it. It's too flippin' cold not to have it on, so sorry. So sorry about that, but I have finished Year of the Dawn 25, and it was very good. It got dark. It went dark again, and I cried. So your average Year of the Dawn, but this time it was darker than somewhat usual. I mean, it does have dark bits in it, don't get me wrong, but There's some spooky cult people. That's all I'm gonna say. Spooky cult people. Never good. I'm gonna have a cowl of shadow. Hood of shadow. Hello. It is as the bird says, Monday. So we have 3 books to read in as many days, so might just enjoy the sun, warm up, and then sneak inside the freezer to get my book, and then come back out into the warm. Hard to get in the desert vibe when it's so flippin' cold, but here we go. They didn't have weapons, but their intent was clear enough. Good morning. It is the final day of July. I did finish The Assassin and the Desert yesterday. And we're on to the second half, and those who know that the second half is like watching a car crash in slow-mo. Like, you know it's all going downhill every single moment. And you have to get through it. But it's not enjoyable. So Selena is meant to be really smart, right? She's meant to be one of the well-known, strong female characters, right? She's got plans upon plans. She is a bit dumb. She's not dumb. She is. As a reader, I can see the warning signs. And it surprises me that someone who grew up in this assassin world cannot see the literal train coming down the tracks, ready to just smash into it. 200 pages of just everything going wrong. Oh, I really do not want to watch this car crash happen. Oh. 40 pages an hour if I read it in 5 hours. I don't know if I could read 40 pages in an hour, but then I can finish up with the Stepmother's Marchen and just let that seep into my body as like a cooling effect. Just like, soothe the amount of anxiety. Can you see all of my freckles from being in the sun? Aren't they cute though? Anyway, just updating you. I am onto the last section, the last 100 pages or so, I believe. Yeah, exactly 100 pages left. And we have the Assassin and the Empire. And things have gone downhill as predicted. And I'm good. I think I'm good with leaving it there. At the end of The Assassin and the Underworld, I think we can leave it there. Sure, not all the things are tied, but sometimes you don't need to tie every bow, you know. You can just leave it alone. So let's just say I'm not looking forward to reading the last 100 pages. I just have to remember, once I finish this one, I can go on and read the Stepmother's Marchen. I'm just gonna stay out here in the warm sun and continue on. Wish me luck. I'll need it. Finished it. It's like, what? 3 p.m. and I finished the book. I watched the slow car crash happen. I have no idea when I'm going to read it. Okay, but spoilers. I think 1 star at least has to be taken away for killing Sam, right? At least 1 star. I mean, was he the greatest character ever? No. Was he a rather foolish character? Yes. Was our main character rather foolish? Absolutely. I mean, how many times do you have to be bitten by a dog before you're like, okay, this dog doesn't like me? Birds aren't happy about it either, so I feel like it has to be at the very most 4 stars. A whole star for doing that to us. I don't care. I don't care about the excuses. It had to happen to give her character. Don't care. So that's my opinion. And it's okay. I can do that because is anyone really sitting there like, oh my goodness, I really absolutely must listen to that one Australian redhead's opinion or star rating on a book? Nobody. So therefore I can take away a star if I really wish. And I'll think on the rest of the book. But 1 star is definitely going down for that betrayal. It's 3 p.m. Technically I have 2 books left. I'm going to read volume 1 and then go straight into volume 2 because a refresher. I think I've read 11 books this month. Sounds like so few, but at the same time, at least it's a book every, 3 days. I mean, not everyone has time to just sit and binge a book every day, so a book in 3 days is probably quite good for the average person. Add some chronic fatigue and that on top, it's probably fine. Good morning. It is now the 1st of August, but we don't need to know that. What you need to know, come here. Go, scoot yourself over here. Okay. What you need to know is we failed. We failed to read the whole TBR set. And that's okay, because I still read a lot of books. So you can't be too mad at it. Alright, so here goes. We read 12 books in total, and I think that doesn't include a DNF. I think. But I could be wrong. I'll be doing the full reviews in another video, which I'll film at some point soon. But first up, we had Dragon's Nest, which is part of the Dragons of Deltora, the 3rd book. Big compilation by Emily Rodda. And it was a 4.5 star. It was pretty good. Then we read The Magician's Nephew, which was a 4.5 star as well. And it is by C.S. Lewis. And it's part of the Chronicles of Narnia. It's the first chronological one. Then we have Half a Soul, which we gave a 4.5. It's by Olivia Atwater. Then we read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is, of course, the second chronological one in the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. And we gave it a 4.5 star. A lot of 4.5 stars. Next, we have The Ruins of Gorlin, the first book in the Ranger's Apprentice series by John Flanagan. And I ended up giving it a 5 star. So we were going really well. We were going through them. Then we hit Daughter of the Pirate King, which I got halfway, 50% through, and decided to do DNF. Many reasons. Just, yeah. It wasn't my vibe. So we did not finish that one. Then I finished The Ghost Horse, which is a non-fiction book by Joe Layden. And I gave it a 3.75. I'd never know how to rate non-fiction. Next we had Magic Forged, which is the first book in the Hall of Blood and Mercy series by K.M. Shea. And I gave it a 4 stars. It was a good start to the series. Then we had Yona of the Dawn, volume 24, which I gave 5 stars. Always great. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. It's a 4.5 star. Then I decided to read one that wasn't on the TBR, so I guess it doesn't technically a thing, but I did read it in this vlog. Instead of one of the Chronicles of Eyre, I did this volume 25 of Yona of the Dawn, because I knew I wasn't going to get through the first and second of Eyre. I didn't even end up finishing book 1 of Chronicles of Eyre, because I'm kind of being more purposeful in my reading. Next we read The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, which I end up giving a 3.5 star. And you'll see in my wrap-up why I gave it that score. Don't come for me. It was still good, but the reason it's that way is for a petty reason. Okay, it's for a petty reason, but I'll have a rant in the spoiler version of my wrap-up if you want to see the full deets of that. And then finally, last night, I did finish A Stepmother's Marchen Volume 2. So good. 5 stars. The art and everything, just gorgeous, really. Just wonderful. And then I got 25% through the Chronicles of Eyre. So in the end, I did read 13 books, but one of them was a DNF. And off the TBR wheel list, I read 11 out of the 13 of them. One of them being the DNF. So really, I did fairly well. I'm proud of myself. For this reading vlog, I think we did a good job. So well done to us. So thanks for watching me read all these books, and hopefully you can join me for the wrap-up, where I'll actually go into all the details of what I thought of the books. There will be a spoiler version and a non-spoiler version. I just do that because some people don't like spoilers and others do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace!
T26